I think you put it very clearly that while the policy level, we expect equal kind of a partnership and a representation. And we have had, for example, the Shipping Corporation of India had a vessel which had the entire crew, starting from the captain to the chief engineer and the rest of the manning, being all women. So as far as the policy and the legal framework is concerned, there are no hindrances whatsoever. Rather, there is a policy prescription that we promote more and more women to be coming at the forefront. We have had examples, as I mentioned, of shipping corporations which are fully manned by women at all the levels. And it is time that the rest of the industry also catches up. The advantages people have realized, and therefore, as we go forward, I'm sure the kind of things that you tried to flag would become a thing of the past. And we would have the training institutions taking in women in larger numbers. And as we go forward and the numbers build up, they would find their right place under the sun. So I see a very bright kind of a future as far as the maritime sector is concerned for the women. And our young girls are fully prepared for it. And some of the women who have shown the path will become iconic leaders for more youngsters to look at this as a career opportunity. And I would like to welcome all of them. And I'm sure it's going to be something which the challenges which the maritime sector throws up, women are fully geared and prepared to take it on. So I see a brighter future ahead.
Thank you so much for that. My next question is for Sumit. Sumit, you know that we're still talking about the first woman so we have the first woman CMD of the Shipping Corporation of India. We have the first woman pilot, Reshma Nilufar, at Kolkata Port Trust. So we're still at the stage where we're celebrating firsts. But what do you think about the status of D&I? And do you think that we should still be celebrating the first? And how do we move on from that?
Thank you, Sanjam. I would say a lot is being done with diversity and inclusion in India, in the maritime industry. Well, not just in India, but globally. You know, at an association level, like there are associations, Vista, ISWAN, IMO, the global associations, and there are regional associations, AMTOI, FOSMA, and many more. And then it's happening at a company level, organization level, and it's also happening at a government level. Initiatives being taken to increase participation of women in the industry. Let me give an example of, say, the IMO and Vista. I'll come to later. Of course, in detail, I'll talk about the Vista initiatives. So the IMO has done a lot of work. And with diversity, there is, fellowship programs, awareness campaigns, so the gender, the diversity being one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, IMO is supporting it with many initiatives. If you look at ISWAN, they're doing a lot for women seafarers on the mental health front, on the safety front, on employment front, on increasing the percentage of women seafarers. If you look at companies, just now Sir mentioned about Shipping Corporation, which has a large, percentage of women seafarers, and we both know that Shipping Corporation has 25% women at director positions, and we also know that this company is heading towards 50% workforce being women. That's their target for 2030, and I can name a few, without naming a few private companies. Even private companies are working on creating a more gender-balanced workforce and a more talent-based and a merit-based sort of pool of people. So I would say a lot is changing. And to your question, that first woman seafarer and first woman, what was it, pilot and business CMD. And I think there was one lady who actually got offended at a conference where she was awarded as the best woman entrepreneur. So she said, remove the word woman from this. I am the best. Why am I not being awarded for being the best entrepreneur? You know, so this whole thing of separating the two genders is something I think needs to change now. And it's about, you always said, and I've learned this from you, the right person for the right job. It's about talent, it's about merit, and also women add a lot of, I think, EQ to their jobs. Not to say that men don't. There's EQ and there's IQ, and both men and women bring that to the table. But a woman brings a different quality of, quality of, I would say, thought process when it comes to maybe negotiations, maybe certain kind of behavioral tendencies, and it's with men, they bring a different kind of contribution. So both complement each other and both are required. Somebody said a very beautiful thing, that both need to, a mix of both is required in a balanced proportion to run an organization. So I think, yeah, with diversity and inclusion, a lot of initiatives are being taken. Having said that, we still have a long way to go as a country, and I think even globally, to have more women in the industry.
Thanks, Sumit. And my next question is to Captain Pradhan. Captain Pradhan, you've just taken over as the Secretary General of the Maritime Union of India. You've sailed, and in your experience, what is the state of diversity and inclusion in maritime? And when Captain Radhika Menon was awarded exceptional bravery for sea, did you think that that had a positive impact on seeing more women seafarers?
Thank you, Sanjam, for getting me on this dais, dear sir and Madam Chima, and to all the delegates and guests who are assembled here. I can see some young women out there for whom we have to inspire now. And as sir has mentioned, that they are targeting about 50% equality in genderness at sea. And coming to your question about diversity and inclusion, we all know diversity and inclusion is the essential of today. It is there in every industry. So it brings a lot of variety from people with different culture, and they provide us with balanced voices and diversity of thoughts. As far as maritime industry is concerned, with respect to diversity, we are at this, you can say, the most nascent stages. We are growing, but we have to do a lot more. So if you go, as we like to say about this IMO, this 2021 Vista survey report on the women and maritime industry, more and more women are now getting enrolled. And in the recent years, couple of years, a lot of seafarers have come on board. But overall, as in your last lecture, you mentioned only about 4% of the Indian women are on board. And if you take into consideration globally, it is just mere 2%. So we all need to look into this and see, take things from here and see how we can encourage women to come more and more out at sea. A lot is being done by the shipping industry. If you see, there are more opportunities that they have offered for the women to be on the shore based. And if you take that average, it's about 29%. And in comparison to the seafarer, it is much better, but the seafarers are just mere 2%. So again, we need to do a lot more here. And as you said, that the industry as such is growing, but we have to make sure that we have a safe environment for the women who are going to come on board. And we have to encourage that. We have to do a lot of mentoring, a lot of coaching, and that's the only way that we can see better contributions. Whether it is an age, a gender, or a color, that should not come in way. We should be able to have no comparison. There should be no differentiation, because if that is going to be there, then there is going to be hindrance. We have to see the differences, and we should not take that in the negative. We have to take that into the positive, get the skills, see the skills that they provide, the thoughts, the minds, and we have to utilize that for improving the standards in the industry. Women have been empowering everywhere ashore, but when it comes to sea, this has been the gray area. They are a little susceptible. So what I feel is we need to take them on board, bringing that confidence. Our companies have to come out with new procedures, how to safeguard people on board, and make sure that the industry grows. If the woman can be a good leader, it really motivates a lot of people. And they are the role models. So I feel that the diversity part, we are going to do a lot better as the years go by. And that should be a vision and our goal now. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Pradhan. There was really great ideas and thoughts coming from you. Coming back to you, Mr. Ranjan, I've been working with the IMO as a consultant on a Bangladesh project for the shipbreaking industry. Currently, there's legislation in Bangladesh that prevents women from working in the ship recycling industry, and they want to overturn the regulation. And then I delved deeper and I saw that in India, while we don't have such a regulation, we don't have many women working in the ship recycling industry, possibly due to the nature of the job. But I also see that in operational jobs, say, there are very few women. In Nhava Sheva, the BMCT terminal, when they had launched, they had 6 female crane operators. But I don't see, like the other terminals, following suit, or there's being so many women in operational roles. What do you think that we can do? I know that the government, there's no discrimination from the government side, but what do you think can be done to change this?
I think your facts, what you mentioned, are there, and I think it's need to do some course correction. As was mentioned in terms of supporting women in whatever manner, some industries have taken a lead, and I think that needs to be further augmented. While that happens, and we all realize that it makes good business sense to have more women on board for various reasons. Today, the way the technology is changing, things are getting automated end to end. The vessels of the earlier vintage may have required someone being in the engine room in conditions which were very, very demanding. Today, the engine room, which is the core of the ship, which I suppose is most demanding environment which the vessel has, is changing and is getting fully automated. With the changes that are happening both on the engine side, on the navigation side, on the control side, the women are better placed than men to be able to deliver on some of these things. And the industry is realizing it. And it is their own self-interest. They have to have more women which can do these things better. So that change is happening. The industry, because of the changes in the technology that has happened, has to necessarily get more people trained and get them onboarded. So that by itself would helped set things right. At some point of time, maybe the challenges were a different kind. That thing has changed. And while the government companies like Shipping Corporation and all have already taken a lead, the private sector, which looks at the bottom line, would also have to start looking at women being a potential class of employees who can do better than men in very many of the opportunities which are now evolving. And for making it happen, they have to have the support systems parallelly being developed so that they are able to harness that talent pool, which so far they have not been able to tap into. So I think that's the kind of message even a conference like that, this should be setting out to not just the people who attended, but also the business leaders. That is good for their own businesses to be able to take more women on board, given the new challenges and the environment that is evolving. I think that's the message we got to put in. As far as the policy framework is concerned, as I mentioned, is very much there. We would have a policy which promotes rather than any way creates a roadblock for women to come on board. And while that policy being there, the need is to make sure that the industry looks at it as something which is a win-win for them and takes and corrects the distortion which you mentioned right in the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also, very happy that the DG Shipping, we had been pushing for a mandatory course on gender sensitization at 3C institutions. That course is almost ready, and I think it's almost out to go. And I think that India can be a leader there to actually push out a mandatory course for gender sensitization. I think that definitely should be pushed at the IMO. Meanwhile, next question for you, Sumit. A little bit about Vista. What is Vista doing to ensure gender-neutral maritime industry? And a little bit from your experience as well as a woman in maritime, what are the biases that you had to overcome in the industry?
Okay, thanks, Anjam. I'll begin with Vista. So I'd like to start with something called a diversity pledge, which Vista International, which drafted out, and each member of Vista has signed it. And we, as an association for the women, by the women, and of the women, have sought industry support in signing this pledge. So basically, we, some of us might know that Vista is a global association with 3,000 women members across close to 48 countries. And the diversity pledge kind of sows the seeds towards changing the mindset towards hiring more women in the industry. So it says, I pledge to embrace diversity of thought, including gender, race, ethnicity, and age, and contribute to a merit-based business environment within my organization. I will be a champion of equal opportunity. My behavior will reflect how I wish our industry to behave in the future. I will work and encourage others to work towards a diverse and inclusive maritime sector. So this pledge is basically sums up the vision and mission of Vista, and it is our activities and initiatives are around this vision. If I talk about Vista India, you have been the founder member, and there's so much you've done in the last 10 years, and you continue to do so, and we continue to do it together. So some of the initiatives we undertake are, networking events where women have generated business for each other's organizations, mentor-mentee program where senior women members mentor the younger women in the industry, knowledge sessions where we invite industry experts to impart certain knowledge on certain they are subject matter experts on industry-related specific topics. We're very, very mindful of physical and mental health of women, so we do a lot of workshops around that. And as you said, the kind of work you have done, I mean, I can't even get started on all the initiatives at a global level and a national level with your, Sanjam, kind of pioneering leadership which Vista does and continues to do. I think we are making some impact. As Captain Pradhan spoke about the IMO Vista survey, which you were very, very integral in conducting. The results of this survey were path-breaking, and it basically was, I would say, a reality check, wake-up call for industry stakeholders. There were facts. It's all facts. You know, the statistics are there. There's no way to shy away from it. So there were statistics on percentage of women leaders, percentage of women in support functions, percentage of women in seafaring roles or sales, business development roles, and then there were facts on harassment, assault with women in the industry, and there was a conclusive kind of analysis which this report and this survey published, which is there for the industry to act upon. So this is another initiative. I would just take one more minute to talk about Vista initiatives. Committees, the international committees. You are chairing the diversity committee, Sanjam, in Vista, which is formed by 12, it's a 12-member committee from 12 different countries. And the work that is being done in this diversity committee is brilliant. Like there's been recommendations, guidelines, and actions written down for industry stakeholders to act upon towards a more diverse workforce, equal pay, equal opportunity workforce. Then you all have also done, I mean, so much work around, there's so much material available on do's and don'ts around appropriate and inappropriate behavior towards women on sea and even on shore. A lot of material of all this is published, trainings, workshops is available for everybody to see, and this is all the work of the Diversity Committee of Vista. There's an HR committee that handles the scholarship process. There is the ICS scholarship, the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers scholarship, which where every year one woman from Vista gets the foundation the program funded by the ICS, by Vista International and given by ICS. So these are some of, and of all of this leads to one goal, which is towards more inclusion, increasing the percentage of women in industry, and creating more awareness about this industry, which frankly speaking doesn't exist neither at youth level nor at an institute level, college level, and that's where it needs to start for people to know about careers in maritime. And you asked about my journey. Well, yes, I did face biases being a person in sales. When I was working in the liner industry, I moved from West India to North India, and initially I faced a lot of bias within the organization I was working for, and even I would say with the clients, the accounts I was handling, there was kind of a doubt where which came that we don't, and I was the only girl in that team. It was a 10-member team with 9 gentlemen and 1 woman, and I was given 2-3 remote areas to handle, which were industrial belts in remote parts of NCR. And some very key accounts where the factory, where it required me to visit the factories frequently, and the person who was there making decisions in that client organization didn't feel I was fit to do that. So those apprehensions were expressed within my organization, but I just requested my seniors to not agree to the change in account ownership. It happened 2 or 3 times, and I said, no, please don't agree. I would like to have more time to kind of let my work speak for myself. And I don't think, and people ask me, now that I am an entrepreneur, people ask me, what is it that drives you, and what is it that kind of kind of makes you do what you do? I don't have any formula. There's no formula to this. It's just that I never made my gender an issue or a point. I never had a point of view around it. It was all external, and hopefully over the years I managed to, and we all did. We all have, with our work and resilience, managed to change. It's a mindset after all, which can only change with your efforts and your work and your resilience and determination. And I think that's all I have to say. There's no other way to put it. And I also want to say that women also tend to hold themselves back. I do not only blame people who are biased towards women. There are women in the industry who sometimes hold themselves back. I would like to tell them, don't do that. Trust in yourself, and they are more comfortable in support function. They would not come in business roles or sales roles. And I don't think it's that kind of a rocket science where they need to feel apprehensive or underconfident about. So yeah, don't hold yourself back. It's all, the success is in our hands at the end of the day. Thanks.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you so much. And we're running out of time. But my last question to Captain Pradhan on what is, in your opinion, should be done to attract and retain more female mariners? And what is MUI doing to promote women in maritime?
Thank you. And to get better outcome for recruitments and retention, I feel education is the best, training, legislation, and then we have to see into the more broader spectrum of how we can bring the women on board, both ashore and at sea. To retain women, we have to have a better friendly atmosphere. The ships have to be women-friendly. There are companies which shy away from hiring women. They think that the ships are not habited. But that's just an excuse, which I'm sure the DG Shipping will ensure that this is all done away with. We need to offer better roles for the women. We have to take into account that it is not only that the men can do the job. Even the women can do equally the same job in a better manner. So to retain that, we should offer them equal gender salaries. They should be given all the facilities. They should be allowed to carry their families. The family carriage is one aspect which I haven't seen the women have done so far. So that they can also, after having children, sail on board. They should be also given a paid parental care leave, so that even after they have their families, they have their children, they can be still part of the industry. So these are things you need to also do the mentoring and coaching for them, so that they don't feel that they're left alone. They have the potential, but what worries to them is that they feel that to take the leadership post, the higher ranks, they are judged. And it shouldn't be in that way. So I have sailed with a lot of women seafarers. I was a master on a cruise industry. I also had a first Indian lady ETO sailing under me. And I just ensured that we gave her the same facilities as we gave the male gender. So these are things if we do, I think we can have retain more and more women. Give them the promotions when they are due. You can do the sponsorship for them, so that because you might not have everybody from the main town and the main city. They might be from the rural areas, and funds are required. And that is where the MUA comes in. Maritime Union of India, where I represent now, we ensure that we give sponsorship. I have recently tied up with one of the premier institutes, training institutes of T.S. Rahman, with Captain Ashutosh Shapankar. Presently, he is touring the coast of Maharashtra. He's going into rural areas, looking for girl students to join the industry as trainees. And I pledged to him that I'm sponsoring you for 5 trainee, whichever rank you are on. Whether it's a rating or an officer, it doesn't bother me as long as I can see the lady seafarers coming on board. I'm ready to sponsor for the 5 candidates. We started this women's wing in 2017. It's been over 5 years. And we have done a lot of programs for that. We have done some seminars for education. We have looked into a lot of topics were discussed about coaching them for management levels, also social activities, and also we have taken some lessons about cancer, looking after how to care for the cancer, the preventive actions to be taken. So a lot more has been done by MUI, and we are always ready to support. We have moved away from the trade unionist, though MUI is a trade unionist. We have moved away from it now. And now we are seeing how we can encourage, and this is where our diversification also comes in. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for the organizers, IGBP also. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sangam.
Thank you so much. And to end, I'd just like to say that even before the idea that equality itself is a good goal, whether it delivers economic growth or not, but even if you are cynical enough not to believe in the idea, do it for economic growth. Let's get gender equality. Let's talk to others in the industry because we have a lot of catching up to do. Thank you for the time.
I would like to thank all the panelists to discuss about how maritime sector can be made more inclusive and discussing about how the future can be made more gender inclusive and making the country and the future of maritime a secure one. With this, we come to the end of today's events. And to thank everyone for gracing this event and kickstarting Bharat Pravah, I invite Dr. Manish Tiwari to give away the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sanjeev ji. When I first went, with this idea of Bharat Pravah, Sanjeev ji was the first person after the minister that I went to him, and then he was very encouraging of this whole idea, and he facilitated a lot of things for us. I thank him for his support, and that is one. And then Sanjam ji, Captain Sumit ji, for this session, particularly the session on women participation, like this, when we were researching about it, it came to our mind, and then we thought we must talk about this thing. And I thank all of you to make this effort and to join us for this thing. I thank you, everyone present here, to take time out of their schedules and everything. And especially thanks to all the students who have come from different colleges and in Delhi University and also IMI Noida. And this is what it is true. I must also thank although they are not here, JM Baxi and Adani Group for supporting us for this endeavor. And at last but not the least, all of the team at the IGPP. I must thank everyone to put in tremendous effort to make this thing a success. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
I request everyone to join us outside the hall for high tea. Thank you so much.